Welcome back, Jacks. I'm Itzel Lara. Today, we will investigate the rules that extracurriculars have in place for students. We'll tell you all about a shoe drive that's happening at Churchill High School, and we'll highlight some places that you might want to check out over spring break. This is JAG TV. SAT is still required by some colleges, and there's changes for this test on the horizon. Chrissy tells us how these tests are changing for the class of 2025.
While SAT tests might still be optional for some colleges, the College Board is moving ahead with some big changes to the SAT testing format.
So in 2 years, or really 1 year, we're going to have a very exciting change for the SAT. It's going to be 1 hour less. So instead of the full 3 hours, it's going to only be 2 hours. The math section, right now we do one section that's math with calculator and one without. This will be all with calculator. And it will be done digitally. So we will be able to have kids taking the SAT on the computer.
While this new format can be an adjustment, it's not necessarily unwelcome.
I think the calculator would be a lot more helpful because in math class, like in geometry, kids are allowed to use their calculators. It's really helpful. And I don't see why kids wouldn't be able to do the same thing on the SAT.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Being online would definitely make it easier to grade than handwritten. So I can imagine that's also easier on the receiving end.
Both teachers and students say that these new tests will impact scores in a positive way.
I think it'll be a little bit less daunting for the students. I think it'll be easier for them to take. I've heard that the math section is a little bit less wordy. There'll be one question for the reading section. There'll be one question per reading passage instead of several questions per passage. So I think that'll be easier for students.
I think it's really going to improve, just mainly for the people coming into school, like when freshman to sophomore to junior. I think it'll be a lot easier on new people coming in.
For JAG TV, this is Chrissy Conley.
Remodeled from an old Walmart building, the cybersecurity campus offers a unique learning experience for students who are interested.
This year marked the first year for the Cybersecurity Magnet program with opportunities like no other.
We spent the majority of last year designing the facility and planning curriculum and putting all the things in place so that students from all high schools around Northeast would be able to come and study cybersecurity. If you love technology and you are interested in cybersecurity, I would say that this might be something you might want to consider.
And the course works with its students' futures in mind.
It's got a lot of high-tech hardware that students can work with that we don't have at the schools. It's really different from being in a school setting, and this is where you're at. When you do graduate, you do get that degree that you're wanting. This is the environment that you're going to transition to.
I learned about it, started studying a bit of cybersecurity, and realized I like it. I don't just want it as a job. I enjoy doing it. So I thought this would be a great opportunity. This is just so much better and so much more focused on actual career.
Cybersecurity is currently only enrolling freshman students, but learning together is one of the program's strong suits.
This is sort of a new area, and so us coming into it as a group, we can kind of explore this and learn things together, and we're having more hands-on lessons, and that's able to kind of enforce the knowledge better, and we're able to get a better understanding of what we're doing.
So if you have any younger siblings or friends, let them know about this unique opportunity.
Through the NEISD Magnet application portal, that's where you go and then you submit your application for the program.
For JAG TV, this is Rain Antunes.
There's limited admission, so if you have any younger siblings or friends interested, now's the time to enroll. While hair color restrictions have been lifted on campus, this may not be the case for elective groups. Alejandra and Karen have more on the matter.
A year of remote learning for most students could have prompted a change in dress code on campus.
Back in September, the board passed an adjustment to the dress code policy, which was to take out the colored hair part of the dress code, provided it still doesn't become a distraction.
Because of this change, some students have taken the opportunity to dye their hair. However, classrooms are still adjusting to the new rules.
Being able to make another part of me more colorful was just a wonderful opportunity. It's been not that big of a shocker, but in more of the academic classes, it is like a whoa and takes a minute for them to get used to it, I guess.
Regardless of the new guidelines at the district level, electives can still implement their own rules regarding dress code, like in the Spirit programs.
For my program, it needs to be natural because I want it to look very professional. I'm very big about first impression is a lasting impression. And so if you have a different array of like purple hair, red hair, rainbow hair, it doesn't look uniform.
Not following dress code in specific programs could lead to probation and even dismissal. So it's important for students to know the rules before joining a group.
Just like we have a student code of conduct and handbook for all secondary students in the district, Fine Arts has a code of conduct. And you just go through it and you see what's in there and if there's anything in there that does apply toward it. Not all groups have one, but some do.
Even with these new rules, the freedom for students to try new hair colors is not only an opportunity, but a responsibility.
Once they're done with high school, you can color your hair, whatever. You get as many piercings and tattoos as you want. But when you're here in this setting, I do want you to fall in line with it because of the image that we're holding for our whole community.
For JAG TV, this is Karen Flores.
The Click It or Ticket campaign visited Johnson last Friday in an effort to get students to practice safe driving skills.
Well, this is an 11-city tour campaign, and it is basically going to all of the cities in Texas. Ultimately, I would just like to make sure that students know that they need to always have their seatbelt on. Seatbelt safety is super important.
And if you want the opportunity to win a $100 gift card, scan the QR code and pledge to wear a seatbelt. To break a world record as well as help those in need, members of Churchill High School Student Council, referred to as the Parliament, have begun collecting shoes. Joseph visited the campus to see what it is all about.
Churchill High School seniors Gabe Wolf and Presley McGurl are the leaders of Campus Parliament, but right now they're leading something else, a shoe drive.
We decided to have the idea to try to break the world record again, but this time opening it up to all of NEISD. And sadly, the record was broken by a group in India, and it's now 60,000, so that's our new goal.
Wolf's brother Mickey initially set out towards breaking the world record in 2014, though fell about 8,000 shoes short.
Just this past summer, my brother got a voicemail from this guy in Nebraska who was calling, asking about the shoe drive, asking if he was still with the organization.
And it's like heel to toe, so like each individual shoe is heel to toe, heel to toe.
And it goes by the number of shoes.
The Parliament is partnered with Souls for Souls, a nonprofit with the goal of donating to those in need.
Parliament here at Churchill, which is the student council, has almost 30 members, and they're all working each and every day to help us, attain the goal.
We also have House of Commons, which is a meeting with the heads of all the organizations on our campus, and all the organizations are helping out.
The world record attempt will be held at Churchill on April 30th, but donations will not be taken past April 22nd.
If you go on our Parliament Instagram, we have like a little story where you can see all the different locations, or if you know one of us, just text us and we'll be happy to pick up shoes.
From Churchill High School, this is Joseph Sweeney for JAG TV.
Now here's Brian and Sophia with JAG Sports.
What's up, Jags? This week on JAG Sports, we got highlights from baseball, basketball, soccer, softball, and track.
This is JAG Sports. Next year, when you look at the JAG football schedule, you may notice that MacArthur is no longer in our district play. Here is more on what that means for the Jags.
When the Jags suit up for the 2022-2023 season, there will be noticeable changes on the schedule.
So it affects district play in terms of now MacArthur is going to be competing amongst the 5A schools. Our district, 6A schools, Marshall, ourselves, Brandeis, Clark, the Northside schools that are in our NEISD in our district and competing. So that's the only way it affects it, is just there's adding another Northside school into in our district of our pool play.
A dip in student population caused MacArthur to now be a 5A school, while Marshall's population has been on the rise.
Yeah, so it's all about enrollment numbers. So the UIL realignment took place. It happens every 2 years. Each school submits their attendance number, and once they submit their attendance number, the UIL provides a cutoff. And so that cutoff number, MacArthur was underneath that cutoff number, and Marshall was above that cutoff number. And so Marshall came into our district, and MacArthur dropped down to a 5A. That's why Marshall ended up in our district, and MacArthur dropped.
Student athletes believe the realignment is better for both MacArthur and Marshall.
It's better overall for everybody because Marshall gave us good competition. They were our first scrimmage this past season, and they went 8-3 this year.
Marshall's a bigger school than Mac is, and Mac didn't have the best record, so maybe they're moving down, get them a better record, more wins.
Despite the change, Johnson will be keeping an eye on MacArthur and is ready to take on Marshall.
So MacArthur dropping down, they're always going to have our full support because they're a part of our family in the ISD. Careless mistakes and just being disciplined, and especially when we play Marshall because they are a unique offense that's going to require discipline, team discipline at that.
First up on the field, we have varsity baseball, who faced off against the Clark Cougars on Tuesday.
Boys won 5-0 versus Clark.
And varsity softball matched up against the Brandeis Broncos also on Tuesday.
Softball defeated the Broncos 1-0.
Tonight, the boys compete against New Braunfels Canyon at the San Antonio Comal Classic.
And for softball, they play the Clemens Buffaloes tomorrow night.
We are 2 weeks into the track and field season.
This afternoon, they will be competing at the Northside District Meet at Gufferson Stadium.
After spring break, they will be competing at Hero Stadium.
Yesterday, the Johnson Legacies left for NDA Nationals in Orlando, Florida, to compete in hopes of bringing home their third consecutive national championship.
Boys and girls soccer met the Broncos on Saturday.
Boys soccer tied 1-1 versus Brandeis.
Girls soccer tied 2-2 against the Brandeis Broncos.
Both teams will face off against the Churchill Chargers tomorrow at Blossom.
Turning to the court, the girls basketball team advanced to the third round of the playoffs.
And this hasn't happened in 5 years.
Last Tuesday, they played in the semi-quarterfinals against Clark, but their season ended with a loss.
The Jags' 2022 season ended against the number 3 ranked Clark Cougars, despite making a comeback through the second half with a final score of 62-52.
I think it's a really great accomplishment, but I feel that we had a really good final game, and it was against a really good team. We were largely an underdog this season, and I think coming out and showing that we can get to the third round, that we can compete at that level, was a really great accomplishment for our season.
I'm proud of my girls. They fought through a lot of adversity, and Sierra McDermott, her group, this group of seniors now, they were freshmen on varsity, and we had maybe 3 returning players, so that whole team was new, and then each year has been kind of a building off of that.
So for me, this season was kind of like a breakthrough and just a great way for me to end my senior year.
This had been the first time in a few years the girls basketball team had advanced to the third round.
So girls basketball has become more on the map, and I think it just increases our expectations each year. Now we have like a new goal, like okay, we can get to the third round, let's get to the 4th, let's get to the 5th, let's get to state. And I think every year it's just going to keep getting better and better, and we've always had a high standard for ourselves, and I think this season showed that that high standard is going to continue to push us forward.
Half of the challenge as a coach is getting the kids to buy in and to believe that they have the ability to be one of the best teams in the city and to go farther in the playoffs. And the nice thing is we return the majority of the team next year, and so now that they've kind of got a taste of it, I think that we're going to be excited to push and maybe start on the good foot and confidence and ready to kind of attack playoffs at the end of the year.
Despite the loss, the Jags plan to use this season as a building block for the future.
Beyond Johnson, I'll continue to play basketball at Vassar College in New York. I'll also probably take my saxophone, look at the areas that I struggled with this season and how I can take that to college and improve on it.
That's it for this week, Jags.
We will see you after the break with more spring sports and more Jag action.
For cool activities to do over spring break and some current event updates, here's Hey SA.
In case you haven't been paying attention, here's what's been happening in Alamo City and beyond. In current events, on February 24th, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Hundreds of thousands of citizens have continued to flee the country, and so far, peace talks have done little to stop the invasions. On March 1st, Texans voted in the primaries, with the incumbent Greg Abbott taking the Republican nomination and Beto O'Rourke securing the Democratic nomination. They will be on the gubernatorial ticket in November 2022. Over spring break, the San Antonio Museum of Art will be hosting 2 free family events on March 6th and 10th. From 11 to 3 p.m., There will be live performances and craft making on both of these days. If you are into gaming and music, Super BitFest is on March 5th at the Vibes Event Center starting at 3 p.m. There will be live music, art, and even a cosplay contest. Tickets are about $15 and can be bought online at superbitfest.com. The 15th annual Festive Tales is also coming up on the 12th. From 10 to 4 p.m. at McAllister Park, there will be a kite festival and dog fair where people are able to bring their furry friends and fly kites. HEB has released a new limited edition ice cream flavor celebrating teachers. Education Heroes is an icing flavored treat with cake pieces and sprinkles. 10% of the proceeds from the sale of this Creamy Creations dessert will go to Donors Choose to support Texas classrooms. That's all for this week, Jags. See you next time.
In case you missed anything, you can check out Hey SA on MyJag News under Hey SA for March 3rd. Tomorrow is the last day to buy prom tickets at $65. Tickets will be $75 when we come back. Located north of downtown, you can experience the world just by stepping into a unique convenience store. McCaslin takes us there.
Even if you're not traveling for spring break, there's still a way you can taste a little bit of the world at local convenience store Jefferson Bodega.
My husband Luke and I own Jefferson Bodega over by Jefferson High School, and basically what we're trying to do is just make a really cool little convenience store. We focus on a lot of international and exotic snacks, and the intent was really to bring a little bit of the world here and have people have a chance to try some really cool stuff.
Open every day, it's a great location to enjoy local street art and a constant rotation of new treats.
We get new drops every single day.
Every weekend, Jefferson Bodega helps local small businesses sell their stuff on their property to help them figure out the ins and outs of how to run a business.
We always have all sorts of food trucks and different events happening outside.
For JAG TV, this is McCaslin Sparrow.
To see the latest on their shelves and their store events, check their Instagram at Jefferson Bodega. It's a popular sport even for people who don't think they're all that athletic. Add in some food and time spent with friends, and you've got pickleball. Jaden and Lily tells us more.
If sports isn't your thing, this just might be for you.
It's kind of a cross between tennis, or it kind of looks like a miniature tennis court, but you use kind of a paddle that looks like a big ping pong paddle, and you use a plastic wiffle ball. So it's kind of designed to kind of make it easier and level for people of all skill levels and strengths and athletic ability.
Dubose found that other teachers were ready to give the sport a try as well, and it just took off from there.
People would go out and play, and so I just kind of wandered up and started playing with those people, and it was fun. And so then I started inviting other teachers, and so that was kind of what got us through a lot, and that we didn't see each other very much for a little while, and that was one way for us to get together outside. Just kind of play quick, short games that are fun, and you get some exercise, but you don't wear yourself out too much.
Located near UTSA, local restaurant Chicken and Pickle is a good place to start for anyone who wants to give it a go.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times with some of the ladies that I had played with before, and that's kind of what we're building up to. Like, we're going to try to, as everybody feels more comfortable and can kind of go and compete and kind of go have a nice meal and kind of a little social hour afterwards.
For JAG TV, this is Lily Adams.
Don't forget, the 39 weeks ends tomorrow, and we have early release tomorrow. We come back from spring break on March 14th. For more updates before our next show, be sure to follow us on Instagram at JAG Student Media or on Twitter at MyJagNews. That's all for today. See you next time, Jags.